All right, I'm in a pretty bad position. He's then locked the triangle on me here. Now, in order to escape a triangle effectively or to get out of any submission effectively, you should understand the details of that submission. So from here, if I allow him to get his hips to the outside here this way and lock that up pretty tight, I'm done. I'm not going to be able to get out. So because I understand the submission, it's going to be a little bit easier for me to disrupt some of them details to stay safe, then get out of the submission. So the first thing that I need to do is I can't allow his hip to come out. So if I'm here in the triangle and he gets here, initially as soon as he gets here, if I can't bring my arm back, the first thing I want to do is at least get my leg here so he can't get his hip out. Now, but even before that, what I want to try to do is get my arm here, because now I can start to get out and just power up. So once I disrupt that here, it's going to be harder for him to finish. So now, from here, hands on the stomach, I'm going to look towards the ceiling, come up and explode to the top. But initially, the important thing is to disrupt at least one of the details of the finish. So, and initially, once it happens, I can't let his hip get outside. Once his hip gets outside, if he gets his hip outside and my arm comes across, it changes the nature for me to get out. And it's going to be a lot harder because I can't look up, I can't posture. There's not a lot I can do here. So once the triangle gets sunk in, I'm going to either try to use my arm and come up here, or use my leg, then come up. Okay, people, now we need to talk about how to get out of the guillotine when they have the arm trapped. Now, it's a little bit different than trying to do it with the arm when you have your free arm, because you can put your chin right in his face. Now we have to do it when he has the arm trapped, because you're not going to be able to reach up that high being that he has your arm trapped. Now, the same rules are going to apply as far as having the tripod up, because you have to take away his leverage. So when he initially gets me in the guillotine here, and he's got my arm trapped, I have to get his hips up, and I'm going to tripod up just like this. Now, in order for him to finish the guillotine, if my head is on this side of his body, he's going to have to get his hips out to this side of his body so that he can actually twist into it. So knowing that, it's very important that you keep his hips to the opposite side, or at least under you, but you want to try to get him to the opposite side, because that takes away his leverage of being able to rotate the arm. So once I'm here, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tripod up, get his hips off the floor where now I can push his hips to the side. I'm going to take my hand, start to push his hips in. Now, I'm using my hand initially. If he has really strong hips or my hand isn't strong enough, I can also use my leg as assistance to block his hip first, initially block his hip, then start to push it to the opposite side. So when I come up here, I'm going to tripod first. His hips are coming out. I'm going to block his hip. I can use my leg to just start to push it inside. Now there's my hand and my leg pushing his hip inside. Now watch what I do on the other side of his body. Once I get his hips to the same side that my head is on, now I need to totally take his hips out of the equation to get his elbow to come up. Because once I'm here, as long as he's able to rotate his elbow down, I'm going to be in trouble. So I'm going to push his hips to this side. That's going to get his elbow to come up a little bit. Now from here, I'm going to take my opposite hand, put it also on his hip, and start to push it down as I drive forward. Here. Now, his grip will start to break. If he has a really strong grip, if he locks onto that grip, it's going to take my hand, come on the fingers, break his grip. Come inside his elbow here so he can't work any other submission at this point. Then stabilize my position after I break free of the guillotine. Now fast motion. Okay, now I'm in jeopardy of getting blood choked, either with his fist or with the slide choke. So the first thing I have to do is I have to create space. It's going to be hard because he's flat on me here. It's going to be hard for me to create space between our bodies. He'll just press into me. So what I need to do is I need to create space between my back and the floor. I want my legs straight because if I have them up, what's he going to do? He's going to grapevine. I'm never going to be able to bridge. So I need to have my legs flat at this point. Now, when it comes time for me to bridge, I'll bring one leg up. I'm going to bridge towards the side that he's choking. Here, that's going to create the space. I'm going to slide my arm in and knock it off. So once again, I'm going to be here. You know, before he applies that pressure, slide the leg up, bridge as deep as I can, come in and block the choke. He can also try to do this from the guard position. When he's here, this way, if I'm not careful, if I don't react fast enough, he's going to choke me out. So once this happens, I'm going to just take my arm. This is where he's making a lock. I'm going to take my arm, come over top of the lock and trap his arm. And this is going to block the choke. Now from here, I just worry about passing the guard. Alright, right now my opponent has me in a Darce choke. Before I allow him to apply this, I have to understand why this works. Again, it works because my arm comes across my face, and I allow that to happen. So before I can allow my arm to come fully across my face, I have to stop my arm from going over. So I'll take my hand, make a fist, and just start to push it across. Now, if you can see, I'm going to turn over a little bit, and he has turned to this side here. Now notice there's a pocket here. That's not going to stop my arm from going. There's a little pocket here. So once he has this Darce in tight here, he has it here. I still have that pocket here that I can put my arm in. So once this happens, I'm going to push my arm back into that pocket, put my hand out, and go flat to the floor. Now this is going to stop everything he does. He can't roll me. He can't push me over because if I'm here, he can start to work his way around and put me to and start to roll me or whatever. And once he starts to roll me, then it takes away my defense. So once I'm here, I'm going to push my arm into that little pocket, straighten my arm, and go flat. Now I can't be rolled. Once I'm here, I'm going to start to work some offense and come around. Okay, now I want to discuss getting out of this arm lock, also known as an elbow crush, from the guard position. Now, once he has me here this way, and he starts squeezing his knees together, and good, squeezing these, and he pinches the elbow, or he pinches my wrist in between his shoulder and his head, it's going to be very difficult to get out, you know. So we want to react just a little bit before that because you won't be able to get out once that point because, again, it is a submission, and submissions are designed to work. So if you allow this to happen and allow all the details to get in, it's going to be tough to get out. So I want to react before at least he gets his knees totally pinched and my hand totally pinched. Because as long as my wrist is trapped in between his head and his shoulder, it's going to be hard to turn or get out. So one thing that I can do in order to get my hand to turn, even if he starts to trap my hand, one thing I can do is I can push my hand a little bit forward, just using my body and push it a little bit above his head. And by my hand becoming above his head, it's not going to trap my hand part or my wrist as much as it will if he traps in between here. So I want him to trap, if he's trapping anything, I want him to trap here because that's still going to give me access to move my hand and move my thumb around. But if he's got my hand in that trap, as you can see, if he's got my hand in that trap here, I can't turn it as much. So the first thing I'm going to do before he locks the legs down and has everything totally secure is I just push forward a little bit. Just a few inches forward. Now I can turn my hand a little more. So if I'm here, it's hard to turn, but I'm going to push forward a little bit. Now I can turn my hand. Now once I can turn my hand, I'm just going to turn my palm up. Now that puts my elbow on his chest. So he can pull all he wants on my elbow. It's just pulling it into his chest. So palm comes up, turn my elbow into his chest. Then I square back up with him and I start to push off on his shoulder a little bit to get my arm off. I can push off on his shoulder or even push off on the grip to get my arm off here. Now once I get up here, I have to stabilize so he can't work anything else, because you know that's a transition, and that could actually be a setup to another submission for him. So once I pull and get my elbow here, square up and stabilize your opponent so he can't work anything else. So I get here, elbow comes in, then stabilize. Okay, now let's do it in fast motion. Alright, now I'm in jeopardy of getting put in the most embarrassing submission to get caught in the world, and this is a Gogoplata. If I allow this to happen, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying if you get caught in this, you suck. I'm just saying that, if you get caught in this, it's pretty bad. So I have to make sure I get out of this position. He's got the Gogoplata working here. He puts the leg across my neck. The first thing I want to do is get my hands on his toes, on the top of his toes. I can't allow him to reach behind and grab here. If this happens, you see it's going to be hard to get out. So once he puts the leg in front of my face, I'm going to reach up and grab his toes. Now he can't grab his own toes. So as soon as this happens, I reach up and grab his toes. Now I'm going to push his foot down this way. As I'm pushing his foot down and towards his body, I'm going to go ahead and get my arm out. And the reason why this is going to work is because I'm pushing his foot down and towards his body. It's going to test his flexibility. And he's going to want to let my arm go. So I'm here, he's got it here, this way, pushing it down. Now I'm going to posture my body. I can't just pull it out. I'm going to posture and get my arm out. So here, he's going for the Gogoplata here. And let's say for example, he does even come behind. All right, even here, I still want to get my hand inside the neck. So even if it does come and he does grab, before I attack, get your foot inside and break that grip. Break the grip, push, posture, and come out. Now it's time to learn how to get out of this Kimura position when he has it from top. Maybe you were in reverse scarf hold, or north-south position. He grabs the Kimura and he's going to finish. Now, he's got the position on me. You have to understand that if your hand gets behind your back, you're going to get finished. There's not going to be a lot you can do once this happens. Your hand gets put behind your back. So initially, the first thing I want to do is reach up and grab my thigh. This is going to buy me some time. I can buy some time holding on to my thigh here. And it's going to make it harder for him to pull. Now, let's say, for instance, I have it here on my thigh and he still rips it off. There's nothing really stopping my hips from scooting back a little bit more to catch up with my hand. So from here, I grab, he pulls it back, and my hand's starting to get behind my back. I'm going to move my hips behind my hand. Now I can reach up and grab it again. So I'm here, I grab, pulls it off, get my hips out, grab it again. Now from here, I need to go face down. I'm going to go belly down, so I'm going to start to move my arm underneath, straighten my leg, and turn over. As I'm turning over, I can also grab my own hand and pull it into me. I want to pull my hand into me so that I'm a little bit stronger as I turn belly down. So I'm grabbing here, grabbing my hip, or my thigh, moving my hip back. I'm going to grab my hand, straighten my leg, and turn over. And try to change the nature of the position. Let me give you guys another angle with this stuff that I'm doing here. I'm here. I grab my thigh, he pulls it off. And if I let it get too far, it's going to be too late. So I want to get my hips out fast. So from here, I'm going to get them back and grab thigh. Now I'm going to grab my hand, straighten this leg, and turn over. As I'm turning over, I'm also pulling my hand down. Now that's going to alleviate all of his pressure. That's going to eliminate the submission attempt from him. So I'm pulling it down. I'm trying to get my elbow to the floor. Once I get my elbow to the floor here, I can go ahead and finish. I can come up, body lock, grab a leg, try to finish with some type of finish. But you don't want to just stay there so he can regroup and try another submission. Now let's do it in fast speed. All right, guys. Now we're going to talk about getting out of this this choke position here from north-south. Here. All right. The first thing you want to do, actually, even initially, while he's setting the choke up, is you want to try to turn your head. Okay, you want to try to turn your head into his chin as he's setting up for the choke here. So if he gets, his body comes all the way here and turns your head away, it's going to be very hard to get out once that happens. It's almost, you know, you limit your chances a lot. That's all I can say. Is you limit your chances a lot once your head is already turned. So as he's coming his body, as he's bringing his body around, you're going to want to start to turn your head into his body initially here, because then that's going to, you know, eliminate his chances of getting a choke. It's going to be easier for you to get out. But once he does, let's say he does get it all the way through here, and you're this way. All right. What I want to do is, sometimes you don't have time to look for his grip. So initially, I'm always taking both hands to try to bring him inside underneath his neck. So if his arms are here and his head here, there's a little space here where I can come inside his neck and put my hand up against his throat and start to create space here. Sometimes he'll change his grip to he'll grab his bicep and put his hand in there this way, and it's going to be difficult to get that hand in. If you can see me here, I'm trying to spin around so you guys can see all these details. If he gets his hand in, it's going to be difficult to get this hand in, so you can't use this hand. So you still want to try to use the other hand. So if you can see here, if he has that grip here, I can't use this hand, so I'm going to use this hand and come and bring it inside his neck to create space. Now if he has another grip where he's just locking his hands down here, he just has his hands locked and he's working here, I can use this hand. It may be a little more difficult because he has his head down, but this is going to be my primary hand. I come inside to create that space. So if he has his hands locked, I'm here, coming inside, creating that space and pushing away. My recommendation totally is that no matter what, you're going to be trying to use both hands, because you don't have time in this situation to go, okay, I'm going to use this hand, and then if that doesn't work, I'm going to use this hand, because he has the advantage, and you don't have time to go, okay, this hand, this hand. Put both hands, work both hands at the same time. One of them should fit, and if neither of them fit, that means it's too late. You done took too much time in order to get out. So the truth of the matter is that once he locks it down, I'm here. I'm looking to get both hands inside. One should fit. If I can get one in, I'm going to put it right underneath his neck. This part of my hand is going to come underneath his neck. I'm going to create space, and I'm going to start to push off. As I'm pushing off, I'm turning my head. Once I turn my head all the way, once my head is free, I've gotten enough space, I turn to my knees, and I start to work offense. Now, in full speed, it should look something like this. Oh man. Alright, you know what? I hope you guys can edit and take care of that one, because I was a little late on my defense. We're going to run through this again, and this time I swear to God I'm going to defend it. And I'm going to show you guys how to get out of the Peruvian necktie. Alright, the first thing, once he locks it up, alright, he has it, he starts to lock it up here, and he steps up with his foot here. At this point, this is the point where I have to go, and this is the point where I missed it last time. Let's turn this way a little bit so they can see. Alright, he has it here, and what makes it so bad is that when this leg comes around my head, it's hard for me, or around my back, it's hard for me to defend. So I have to beat that first. So this leg's over my head. As soon as he starts to fall back, I have to catch this arm here, or this leg here with my arm. So he's got it locked up. He steps over my head. I'm going to wrap my arm around this leg. Now he sits back. It puts me off to the side. And I'm no longer in danger of being choked. Now that I'm off to the side, I come here and get out of the submission. But the key is going to be when he steps up with that leg. He has it here, he steps up. I wrap around this leg immediately. And then he falls back. I'm off on the side and I take position. Okay, this is a very common position that you need to know how to escape. If you can't get out of this, then this is going to be bad for you, because not only will trained fighters be able to submit you, but you could probably get submitted by a guy in the street, which is going to be the most embarrassing thing ever for you. So you need to understand and know how to get out of a guillotine position, because that is the easiest move to learn, and it's the easiest move to do to submit a guy, especially from the feet. Now, let's say he's got the guillotine on me here. Alright, the first thing you have to do is there's going to be a lot of pressure on your neck. Alright, so you have to alleviate that pressure. You have to get that pressure off your neck. And there's a couple ways to do it. The first way is to just turn your head. Because if you leave your head straight, it's going to be a lot of pressure on at least one side of your neck and your trachea. And if you turn your head outside, then it's going to come on both sides of your neck, and that's going to choke you out and put you to sleep. So the first thing I want to do is turn my head to get that pressure off my neck. I'm going to turn my head this way. Now also to get pressure off of my neck is I'm going to bring my hand up and just put it on side of his hands here and use my body weight to get it down. I don't want to use my arms too much, because that's too much strength. So I'm going to kind of use my body weight to get some of that pressure off. So once I'm here, take your hand, turn your head, take your hand and get that pressure off to here. Now the pressure can just kind of be on my jaw. I mean, this is a tough sport, so you should expect some pressure and be able to deal with some pressure. So now I'm going to come here, I'm going to turn and get that pressure off. Now one thing that I can do to get out, or to at least keep him from turning this guillotine into a very bad position, is I can just put my hands on his hips. After I've alleviated that pressure here, I can put my hands on his hips here and just start to push him away as I continue to turn my head. If I can push his hips away, he can't drive his hips and get a lot of leverage on that. And also the most important thing is that he can't jump guard. If a guy gets his guillotine on you and he jumps guard, it's going to be very bad for you, because it's going to be a lot of weight that you're carrying, and if he falls back with that, it's going to hurt your neck. You're going to get tapped out with the guillotine. It's just going to be bad. So one thing you can do to avoid the position is, once you've got the pressure off your neck, put your hands on his hips and push him away, stand back and turn your head even more. Here. Then you can get out here, or just come out this way. But even more safe proof is when I'm here, a better escape really will be to turn the head, get the pressure off. Now from here, I'm going to drive my shoulder into his stomach. Once my head's turned, I'm going to take my shoulder, drive it into his stomach. So I've turned my head, and I'm going to take this shoulder, turn it down and put it in his stomach. That's going to create some space and put some pressure on him. So if I'm just here, this way, and I try to work here, it's not going to really work. So I'm going to turn my shoulder in and create some space. So down, head turn the shoulder, create some space. Now I'm just going to take my arm, put it on the inside of his arm here, and I can break it off, or at least get more pressure, then break off and come out. But the key really is once you have your head turned, you have that pressure off of your neck. I'm going to take my shoulder, drive it into his stomach. That's going to give me more space. So to open up some space in between his arms, get my arm inside here, inside the crack of his elbow, and I can push off here, break this open, come around the back, or do whatever. So in full speed, let's show you how it works. Here's a situation where he has the arm lock. Here he's got both legs over. Chances are I'm not coming over the top. It's going to be hard to maneuver my whole body over or in any situation like that. So the first thing, always survive. Don't get tapped out. And you have to protect your dangers. Right now what's in danger here is this arm. So get a grip again. You know, any grip is better than none. I don't care if you're just gripping your fingers like this. Any grip is better than none. However, your best grip will be to grab here, come over, and get your hand on the inside of his leg. Because you can take off some of the pressure from his leg, and it's going to be harder for him to pull your hand through your whole arm. So, I'll just get a grip, and then I want to get to this grip here. Now, once I'm here, I can't come over his legs, but what I can do is I can scoop my hips away. Because there's nothing really blocking my hips. Like, what's really stopping your hips from going out here? Nothing. So I'm just going to move my hips out. Start moving my hips out to create space. As I'm moving my hips out, as I'm here moving my hips out this way, as I'm moving my hips out, I'm trying to get my shoulder, I'm just kind of removing my shoulder from the position. I'm getting my hips out, I'm just kind of moving my shoulder, because by moving my shoulder, that's going to get my elbows a little bit more room to pull inside. So I'm moving my hips out. Also, as I'm doing that, my shoulder is kind of coming back. Now that's going to give my elbow more room to come inside and get out and get from on top of his hips. So I'm moving my hips out, shoulders coming in, my elbows coming in, and I'm going to start to escape the position. So I'm here, got a grip. I'm going to get a better grip here. I can survive a little bit longer here. Now, moving my hip. Start moving my hip out, turning into him. As I'm turning into him, my shoulder's trying to get out from between his hips. Now I'm starting to pull my elbow out. Now once I get enough room, I'm going to keep moving my hip. And to avoid him from pulling my elbow back inside and get my hips out, I'm going to take my knee. I'm going to take my knee, got my hips out, take my knee and put it right underneath his butt. Here. Once I have here, even if he has a grip on my arm, as soon as I push off, and I can just explode and get my elbow out. Here, I'll just explode out. Once I get my knee in between our bodies, there's not really much he's going to be able to do from that position. So the key is to get your elbow out, and then get your knee inside and explode. Let's do it in fast motion. Alright family, now we got to talk about the arm lock position. This is a different type position where he's got an arm lock. He's got one leg, as opposed to both legs being over my body. He's got one leg trapped underneath my ribs, and he's squeezing the knees together here this way. And if you don't think this position works, you know, you can get arm lock from this position. Have somebody do it to you. Trust me, it works. So we have to have a legitimate escape to get out. Now the first thing you want to do once somebody has you in an arm lock is you have to get a grip of your hands. Some grips are better than others. You know, the best grip is going to be if you can block your whole arm off here. This way, block your whole arm. So almost like you're doing a rear naked choke this way. Block your whole arm off so that he can't pull your arm between your other arm. So this is going to be your best grip, and then also to be able to weave this hand underneath the leg. Here, that's going to be your best grip to have, but it's not always going to be that easy to do it. So in my opinion, you know, any grip is better than no grip. If you're just gripping your like this or this grip or even here, any grip is going to be better than no grip. Now, once I'm here, sometimes it's hard to get out. Let's say he's got, you know, everything's tight and I just have to grip my hands. You know, you got about 5 seconds, if that, to work your way out, because no grip will sustain the pressure that he's going to put on you. So once I'm here, and let's say I can't get out, I can't find another way out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to let go. Now be very careful with this, and you have to practice this a lot so that your timing is right. I'm going to let go, and I'm going to turn my thumb down on the side of his body here. So I'm in this position here. He's got my arm here. I'm going to turn it down like this way. Elbow up, turn the thumb down. Don't give him the arm this way. So make sure he's not controlling your hand as you do this. So you want to bring your arm to the side of his body, elbow up, and turn your thumb towards the floor. So now I'm here. I'm going to let go of my hands, and I'm going to turn it down this way. As I turn down, I'm also going to bridge and look away and turn. Bridge, look away, and turn. Let go, bridge, turn, and then raise up to the side of his body. Now, sometimes you get in this position and you may not be, and he may have a better grip. So I'm here, and he may have a better grip and more control of your hand, and you may not be able to get your thumb to that side and get your arm to that side. Now, if you do that and you fall back, he's got such a good grip, I'm not going to be able to raise up. So in that case, if he's got such a tight grip and I can't get my hand to the other side, you can also just hop over the leg. So you would just use a little bit of momentum. You can pop up, pop here, then this way, because there's nothing trapping your upper body from coming over the top. So you can also do it that way. However, in my opinion, the first way is a little bit better. You're going to have a little bit more success on doing it this way. Now let's do it in fast motion. Okay, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, here's another situation. He's got me in an arm lock this way. He's got my arm and I'm face down. This can happen a lot of times. Let's say he got me in an arm lock here and he bellied out and you end up face planting over. Now, in order to get out of this, one second, in order to get out of this, you have to, again, understand the nature of submission. And the more you understand submission, the easier it's going to be for you to defend against it. Now, in order for him to submit me with a belly down, he's going to want my thumb pointed downwards. So if he has the submission here and he's got the blade of my hand on his stomach here and my thumb's pointed down, yeah, I'm going to get caught. You know, I'm going to tap out from here because he's got all that leverage on my elbow joint. So the first thing I want to do from here is I want to turn my palm to his chest here. And that's just a subtle movement. You won't be able to, like, if you ever seen this type of submission before or defense before, you don't see that part of the move. And that's the most important detail of getting out of this position, is as I'm here, my thumb's pointing down, the first thing I want to do is turn it up. Turn your hand up, and as if you were going to grab his hair, his chest hair, rather. Grab his chest hair like this. Turn it up. Put your hand right on his chest. Alright, so once I'm in the submission, here, I'm going to turn my hand up. Yeah, I can be able to pull his chest hair right off if I need to. But I'm not. I'm going to get out of the arm lock. I'm here. I'm going to turn my hand up. Now, I'm going to take my other hand, come on this side of his body, put my head on the floor, on the same side of his body, and hop over. Now, even if he still has control of my hand, I'm here. My palm is still on his chest, and he has no arm lock no more. So even if he holds on to the arm, I'm going to have better position on him because I can do things from this position. But I have better position. So the key is to turn your hand underneath his body to where your hand is now on his chest. In fast motion, it will look something like this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk about how to get out of this triangle position from the top. Now, with any submission, you know, if it's too late, it's just too late. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about it, really, except tap out. This is one of them submissions that if you don't get out fast enough, you will be caught. So this is an urgent submission. As soon as you get caught, it's not a lot of time. You don't have a lot of time because you're in such a disadvantaged position. He has his weight all on your upper body, your face. It's very difficult. So once you get here, you have to act fast. Okay. So now my opponent has the triangle on me from the top. Now, if you understand submission, the triangle, in order for it to work, your arm has to be on this side of the body. So understanding that, the first thing I want to do is I want to get my arm on this side and lock his hip down so he can't push my elbow across. As long as I can lock it down and get my elbow on the side of his hip, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for him to push my arm across. So the first thing I want to do is I want to lock my hands and lock his hip down. Now it's still a lot of pressure on my neck. So I want to take away some of that pressure. So I'm going to take my hand, dig inside his thigh, get the other one inside, and just pull his thigh off the side of my neck. Now I can breathe. Now once I can breathe, I catch my breath, I'm okay. Now I'm ready to go. I got to get out of this position. I can't stay here because he will find a way to submit you if you stay here long enough. So this buying this time, you only want to buy yourself like maybe 3 to 5 seconds just so you can catch your breath. But you got to get out of here because this is a dangerous position. So after I've bought my time, my elbow's still locked down on his hip. I want to re-grip my hands, pull them down a little bit. Now I want to bridge. Now I'm going to use both feet. I can use both feet on this bridge because I'm not worried about him grapevine in the legs because his legs are around my neck. So I'm going to bridge, take both feet. I want to bridge as deep as I can, as high and as deep as I can. And I'm going to look to the side and I'm going to roll. Now once I roll, I'm not going to stop here and try to get out because from here, if you stop here, he's going to go whoop, and he's going to lock up the triangle. So I'm not done rolling until my elbow hits the floor. Once my elbow hits the floor, I keep pushing forward, and I block the legs. Now, what may happen is that once you start to roll, you know, he may have longer arms or a little bit stronger base, and he may stop you from being able to roll them. So you have to have an answer for that. So once he comes here, and let's say I've locked his head down, I can breathe, I start to roll, and he bases out a little bit. Once he bases out, here you can no longer roll, but you still want to continue to bridge because that's creating space in his legs. Now with that space, what I need to do is I need to utilize that space, and I want to make a quick turn with my upper body here. Just take my arm and turn all the way here. If you can see, as I'm here like this, as I base, I just turn underneath here. Then once I'm here, I'm going to take my opposite hand and put it on his foot. So he can't use that to go switch his submission to an arm lock or relock his triangle. I just want to keep my hand on his foot, then bail out, get out of there. I've created enough space. I've created a scramble. I want to get out of there. But initially, your better option to getting out of the position is going to be to roll him, block the hip, and escape the position past the guard. Put him flat on his back. Now, in fast motion so you guys can see it, All right, guys, I found myself in the wrap position, and I don't want to be here. Now, the key for me to getting out of this position is to create some space and try to get off on my side. As long as he has my shoulders on the floor, he's putting a lot of pressure on my neck, and I allow him to get that far into the move, it's done. I'm going to have to tap out. But for now, the first thing I want to do is I want to get my forearm into his hip, because I don't want it to get his hip involved in putting that pressure on me. I can pretty much deal with, I'm hoping I can deal with just his arm strength and his upper body. But if he gets his hip involved, it's going to be hard for me to get that pressure off. So the first thing I want to do is get my forearm into his hip. Now once my forearm's into his hip, now I'm only dealing with his upper body strength and his his back and, you know, and that pressure there. So I'm here. Now let's turn a little bit this way. All right. So now I have that in there. I'm starting to push this off. Now because he's got so much attention up on my head, it leaves room for my hips to move. I can move my hips. So I'm pushing off here, and I'm starting to get my hips out. So even though all of the tension is up here on my face and on my upper body, I can get my hips out. So I'm pushing here, starting to get my hips out. Now once I get my hips out far enough to where I can get my hand that's trapped on his knee, that's my goal, is to get my hand on this knee. Because now I can push off here and break the lock. So I'm starting here, I'm pushing off on his hip and moving my hips out. Now I have room to get this hand on the knee and further push away and break off. Let's do a different angle. Let's come this way. Let's turn a little bit more. There we go. So I'm here. I'm pushing off here, getting my hips out. Now my hand goes on his knee. I can push off on the knee, keep pushing here, push here, and get my hips out. And break that grip. Then I can go and replace my guard, and I'm out of the wrap. That's the important part.